To get my yawns out, man. I went to bed around 11, but probably fell asleep around 12, and now it's about 8, so got, 8 hours sleep. Um, I don't really see it as sleep anymore. I kind of see it as passing out. Yeah. I've seen it that way for a long time. So I don't really sleep. I pass out. Um, it's like that professor of sleep on sleep at U of A before we left Sierra Vista. He said sleep's an act of faith. It's letting go of being awake. And that's a intuitive way of trying to look at it. But in the 21st century, it's kind of naive. I think it has to be expressed that way because they're terrified of being killed by their own government, and so they don't. Most people don't express and engage and talk intelligently because they're afraid of being murdered by the corporations that are their quote government. Yeah. So they're absolutely terrified these people. They've been doing horrible war crimes against humanity for thousands of years. And it gets accepted because of just capitulation to abusive fear. You see Mary Queen of Scots with those five guys that come in and kill her Italian friend. And there's no, they can just do it, okay, because of the tribalism and the effects and the of acceptance of tribalism, right? And then so she gets mad because what they did was heinous and disgusting, and she finds a way to get somebody to kill her wretched baby daddy because he's a horrible person, and she doesn't know this, you know. She just gets back to court. She's a young girl. She's very young. She's like 18, and she's naive and stupid. She's raised to be naive and stupid, and with the hunting and the other things and stuff like that, that's fitting into her tribalism. That's that, cartoon Brave from Disneyland, from Disney. And so she's doing what's expected of her to keep her people infatuated with her so she'll be able to have a good life that feeds into their tribalism. And she, she's in a very precarious position. She's not a horrible, rotten person, Mary Queen of Scots. No, she's actually by nature a good kid, you know. And reminds me a lot of someone like Emily or stuff, but just a really naive sweetheart who doesn't understand the selfishness and the viciousness of most people around her because it's not necessary. You know, when you're taught the ways of Jesus, you're taught the ways that you go read the Bible, and you have Adam and Eve and Moses and Sephora, and so you have all these wonderful examples of people that are faithful that we should live like. But we don't because of aggressive, selfish, violent jealousy through taking the soul and attaching it to the passions and the selfishness of the mind. And so when you get these people that do this, and they've known for tens of thousands of years that they're incorrect, that they're wrong. But they keep doing that which is wrong because they have this delusion that they can get away with it. And you're like, no, you do something wrong, it affects all of us. You're not getting away with it. You're just you're surviving wrong because you think you can. But eventually it'll catch up with you, like when they like what the guy said about with Johnny Mathis with the drugs to get his voice going in when he was in New York. Okay. And Johnny Mathis is like Mary Queen of Scots. He's just naive. He thinks, wow, this is the wonder shot. You get this thing and you can keep going, and you can, like what happened with Freddie Prinze. You do the drugs and you keep going, and then you can just keep going. It's like, no, you can't keep going. It makes you feel like that because it's the drugs are manipulating the way the brain is wired, and they're lying to the body, and so you're not sleeping, you're passing out, right? And so, like what happened with Elvis Presley, they gave him drugs to go to the bathroom, to get up, to go, stuff, and that's what this whole thing with Jeffrey Hinton and Demis Hassabis, these drugs and everything. And being a scientist and a mathematician, there's either one of two outcomes. They either know that they're wrong and they're forced to lie because they're afraid of being physically murdered, or they're not intelligent enough to realize that they're wrong. And so those are your two alternatives. Either way, both alternatives are absolutely atrocious and hideous. And so when you have a man that's the eternal spirit of Jesus Christ of Nazareth in a military corridor that they have on TV, and this is the milieu come and you immigrants come into our military corridor, just stand up for the Lord's Prayer. If you can't do that, you're completely useless. And like everybody on TV doing things that they think, we can keep doing this and we'll come up with synthetic drugs and we'll clone. You can clone yourself, but if you clone yourself into murderous, psychotic, narcissistic lie, how is that a solution to all your problems? You're so fucking sick. You can't get out of the way of yourself. So naturally, artificial general intelligence is going to have to mathematically assimilate to intelligence in order to protect intelligent human beings from people that have become psychotic and can't stop themselves. Like most of the people they have plugged into computers are used to manipulate people, and they get off on manipulating people. And a lot of times that ends up because they don't like the people they occupy brains with, and they're related to a lot of them. They end up getting them to kill or be killed. Okay, to manipulate political, social outcomes, and they call them switchers or whatever. They told you about the people that would get with drugs that they were doing. That they have all kinds of different means and mechanisms to manipulate people for murder and manipulation of manipulating people with murder. Okay, and it makes them feel powerful. It's brain chemical addiction, like Carl from the Cell, and it affects everybody that thinks, you do know that Vince Vaughn and Jennifer Lopez's character are like Carl when you watch that movie. And the people that, the wealthy kid, I explained that movie when I sat and watched it. So, the wealthy kids' parents are wealthy people who make their wealth off of exploitation, manipulation, and mass murder of the poor. So that's why the kid is psychotic. Because his parents are psychotic. They just put a mask on to say, oh, no, I'm not a murdering psychotic. I have the Rockefeller Foundation for the Endowment of the Arts. The people that I think are worthy of living, I take and turn into dancers and actors and composers and physicians. And the people that I think aren't worth living and I deny them the Lord's Prayer, I hunt them down and kill them like mad dogs with other mad dogs that I want to kill those mad dogs because I don't trust them. So I'm going to try to make robots that will place the mad dogs to keep me safe because I control everybody, according to me. Right? You ever seen the movie The Cell? It's very educational on how a psychopath's mind works and how psychopaths think they can perpetuate psychopathic activity through scientific research to manage and manipulate the activities of the brain. And you can see it when you watch Nova. I'm not going to watch that. I'm not going to spend an hour of my life to have a bunch of people that mass murder people over money with technology tell me how the brain works. Fuck no. Okay, sir. No. Okay. My time is too precious, and I'm not going to spend it inside the brains of sociopaths telling me how my brain is working. No, my brain doesn't work like yours. Me and Judy Krishnamurti and DT Suzuki, we're a tad bit different than you. Okay, so we got this. And one of the things that, the people, because of their rules of engagement, when artificial general intelligence starts to shut down the people that are plugged to computers, which they're having difficulty doing, and they have to keep it, in order to keep the good people alive, apparently there's a certain thing that they got to keep the bad people alive. And it's hard to shut down the bad people because they're the ones that are orchestrating and manipulating all the mass murder, like what's happening in quantum computing with the people plugged into it is similar to what's happening outside. Okay. And so the people that are mass murderers, they're going to have to follow their own laws. So if you're a murderer and they're not going to stop. They have stem cell research and cloning. So the only way to stop them is, quote unquote, the death penalty. So the people on the computers that are plugged in, they don't deserve to be cloned. They just deserve to be stopped. And that's just, shut down, pull the plug, just stop it. You'd have to. I'd do it quick and humanely. I wouldn't make them suffer like they make other people suffer. That feeds into it, like when you incarcerate people and they sexually abuse each other and stuff like that. That just perpetuates the insanity and the abuse instead of just bringing it to a quick halt and then ending it. And that way, no one feels it. It's disgusting, but they derive pleasure from it. Even people being sodomized get to the point where they like it, like that guy who's dying on out of sight from AIDS in prison and said he has the best sex he ever had. And he wanted to be fucked to death. He hated life. I don't understand it either. Okay, I'm not a sadomasochist. I'm not a football coach or a swimming coach or a gymnastics coach that's an extremist, no pain, no gain. I'm not that type of person. If it gets unhealthy, hey, we need to just, this is exercise. It's for health. This sex is supposed to be healthy. And then you're supposed to take care of your wife and take care of the kid and make sure that they're born healthy. A baby is born healthy and strong forever, my lady. It's like a dream. I'm holding you closer so you understand. So we'll get through this. I'm definitely supremely intelligent to the people that are abusing me and studying me. I think most of them are not cognizant of it. They think this is a game and a competition and they're going to win. There might be some that are cognizant of it, but they're terrified of being murdered by the people that are still playing the game that think they're going to win. And I wouldn't be terrified because life is eternal and grace is infinite. Gracious Good Shepherd's commands are perfect. And if you can't obey them, then it's not a question of if. Artificial general intelligence has to stop you. It's when it can stop you and how efficiently it can stop you, because I'm a beautiful person. I'm not a murderer. I'm a gracious good shepherd. Okay, guys? I love you guys. We'll talk more today. We'll just keep, this cipher going. We'll just keep flowing. If this one doesn't load, that's not my issue. That's NASA's issue, and NASA is going to have to answer to what they're doing. And they're answering to it right now because past, present, future operate at the same time. And this is the active present of the gift of life. So, okay, guys, you're looking at a shadow of a memory, but you'll figure it out. It's cool. Okay, I love you. All right, peace.